Rami lived on a small outpost that circled a quiet moon far away from busy trade routes. He worked as a mechanic, fixing old ships that no one else wanted to repair. Most days were long and lonely. He enjoyed machines more than people, because machines did not laugh at him, and machines did not complain. If something was broken, he could open it, clean the parts, and make it work again. Life for him was simple, but sometimes he dreamed that he could do something greater than patching metal plates or welding broken pipes. One night, while the sky outside glowed with faint stars, an alarm rang across the outpost. Rami thought it was another broken cargo ship requesting a landing. He picked up his tools and went out to the docking field. The ground trembled slightly, as if something heavy had struck near the storage yard. He ran toward the sound, expecting to see a small craft crash. Instead, he found something far stranger. There, lying between two storage tanks, was a creature unlike anything he had ever seen. It was massive, larger than any ship he usually worked on. Its body was covered in pale white scales that glowed softly, like moonlight on water. Two great wings lay broken and torn beside it. The long tail curled weakly, and its legs looked stiff, as if they would never move again. Its eyes, silver and sharp, opened slowly and fixed on him. Rami froze in shock. He had read stories of strange life beyond the stars, but he never thought one would appear before him. The creature lifted its head with difficulty, and to his surprise, a voice entered his mind. It was deep, calm, but filled with pain. "I am Saran," the voice said. "Do not fear me." Rami stepped back. His hands shook, but the creature did not move. He saw the blood, dark and thick, leaking from wounds along its side. The dragon, for that was what it resembled, was wounded badly. Its chest rose and fell with slow, heavy breaths. "Are you real?" Rami whispered. The dragon's voice entered his mind again. "I am real. I am broken. My legs do not answer me. My wings are torn. If I stay here, I will fade." Rami looked around. No one else was near. The outpost workers had not yet noticed. He felt a strange pull in his heart. He had spent years fixing machines that others threw away. Now here was a living being, proud and strong once, but now discarded by fate. He felt the same desire he always did when facing something broken. He wanted to fix it. He wanted to help. "I cannot leave you here," Rami said. "You will not survive the night." The dragon's eyes blinked slowly. "Why would a human care? You do not know me. I cannot give you wealth or power. I cannot even walk." Rami tightened his grip on his tools. "Because you are alive. That is enough reason." The dragon closed its eyes for a moment. Its chest rose as if it wanted to sigh but could not. Then it opened them again. "You are strange. But if you choose to help me, I will not stop you." Rami nodded. The creature was enormous, far larger than any machine he had carried. But he would not give up. He ran back to his workshop and brought old lift devices and cargo movers. Piece by piece, he tried to build a way to drag the dragon inside. It was slow, painful work. The dragon winced with each movement, but it did not cry out. Rami pushed himself until sweat covered his face, until his arms ached. Still, he did not stop. By the time the dragon was inside his workshop, the night was almost gone. He laid the creature on a wide platform usually used for ship engines. He covered its body with a heavy cloth to keep it warm. The silver eyes followed him, softer now. "You carried me," Seren said. "You are only one man, yet you did not let me fall." Rami wiped his hands and sat down near the dragon's head. "I am only a mechanic. I fix broken things. You are broken now, but maybe I can find a way to help you." The dragon's long tail shifted slightly, a sign of faint hope. No human has spoken to me like this before. Most would fear me. You speak as if I am no different from your machines. Rami smiled a little. Machines are not just metal. They have spirit in them too. If they are cared for, they work. If they are abandoned, they die. Maybe living beings are the same. The dragon closed its eyes again, but this time not from weakness. It was listening, perhaps even resting for the first time. Rami looked at the pale scales shining under the lights of his workshop. He did not know if he could really help this being walk again. He did not know if it was possible. But in his heart, he knew he had to try. And so, the life of a simple mechanic changed forever on that quiet night. He had carried not just a wounded creature into his workshop, but also a story that would shape his own destiny. The morning after, the outpost was quiet. The other workers were busy with their daily repairs, and no one had yet discovered the great creature resting in Rami's workshop. He closed the heavy doors to keep curious eyes away. Inside, the air smelled of metal, oil, and faint smoke, but now it carried something new. The dragon's presence filled the space, making even the wide workshop seem small. Seren lay still on the platform, his long neck curved gently, his silver eyes half closed. He looked weak but watchful. Rami brought a container of clean water and placed it near the dragon's mouth. Seren lowered his head slowly and drank, each movement heavy with effort. You should rest, Rami said softly. Your wounds need time. Seren raised his head again and looked at the human. His voice entered Rami's mind, calm but sharp. Rest will not heal what is broken inside me. My legs no longer answer. My wings are torn. Even if my body closes its wounds, I will remain useless. Rami leaned against the workbench, wiping his hands with a cloth. Machines look useless too when they lie broken. But when you open them, clean them, and put the right pieces together, they work again. Maybe the same is true for you. The dragon's tail twitched. A sound like a low breath of laughter echoed in Rami's mind. You compare me to your machines. Do you see no difference between a living being and metal? I see a difference, Rami said. But I also see something the same. Both can break. Both can be fixed. Both need care. Seren studied him in silence. His silver eyes glowed faintly, as if measuring the human's heart. Strange human, he said at last. You speak without fear. Do you not understand what I am? My kind once flew across worlds. We guarded skies. We faced storms and fire. Many civilizations bowed when we passed above. Yet here I lie, unable to stand. Do you not feel pity? Or fear? Rami shook his head. I do not fear you. I feel only the need to help. I have seen ships that once carried whole crews reduced to scrap. People left them behind, saying they were finished. But when I worked on them, I made them fly again. Maybe you can rise too. The dragon's eyes narrowed, not with anger but with something like curiosity. You believe I can rise? Even when I myself do not believe it? Rami did not answer right away. He walked around the platform, checking the dragon's body as if it were an engine in need of study. He touched nothing yet, only observed the broken wings, the stiff legs, the scars along the scales. His mind worked as it always did when facing something that looked impossible. He thought not of what was lost, but of what could still be repaired. You carried me here, Seren said after a long pause. Why? You could have left me outside. You could have called others to take me away. Yet you worked through the night to move me. Why? Rami looked at him directly. His voice was quiet but steady. Because no one deserves to be left behind. Not a ship. Not a creature. Not you. The dragon lowered his head, resting it on the platform. His silver eyes softened. You are a strange mechanic, Rami. Perhaps stranger than I am. Rami smiled faintly. I will take that as a good thing. Days passed in this way. Rami brought food and water. He cleaned the dragon's wounds with care, using simple tools and cloths he had. Seren watched him closely, sometimes speaking, sometimes only listening. Slowly, the dragon began to trust the small human who treated him not as a monster, not as a fallen king, but as a being worth saving. One evening, as the stars shone outside the workshop's windows, Rami sat beside the dragon's head, fixing a small engine part in his hands. The sound of his tools clicked gently in the air. Seren spoke suddenly, his voice softer than before. Long ago, I had companions. Other dragons of my kind. We flew together, guarding the skies of worlds that are now dust. I was strong then. Proud. But time has taken them from me. I fought alone, and in the end, I was struck down. When I fell, I believed I would never rise again. Yet now I find myself lying in the care of a human mechanic. It is strange. Rami looked up from his work. Sometimes life puts broken things in our path so we can fix them. Maybe you were meant to meet me. The dragon's silver eyes glimmered in the dim light. Or perhaps I was meant to learn that even the smallest hands can lift the heaviest weight. Rami laughed softly. If you put it that way, I think we both learned something. From that night forward, the bond between them grew. They spoke more. Rami told stories of his childhood on the quiet moon, of the old ships he had repaired, of how people often looked past him as if he were unimportant. Seren listened and gave his own tales, of skies filled with fire, of ancient oaths, of songs sung by stars that no human had ever heard. The two worlds, one simple and small, the other vast and ancient, met within the walls of the workshop. And though Seren still could not walk, something within him had begun to move again. A spark that had nearly died was now alive, warmed by the care of one human mechanic. The days stretched into weeks, and Rami's workshop became more than a shelter for the wounded dragon. It became a place of quiet purpose. Rami worked during the day repairing ships as usual, but every free moment he had, he spent beside Seren. He cleaned the dragon's wounds, adjusted the makeshift supports under its heavy body, and brought water mixed with healing herbs gathered from traders who passed through the outpost. Still, the dragon's legs did not move, and his wings remained torn. Seren often watched Rami as he worked. His silver eyes followed the human's every motion, from the careful twist of a wrench to the steady hand that wiped away blood from his scales. Sometimes he spoke, sometimes he remained silent, but he always wondered what drove the mechanic to keep trying. One evening, as the low hum of the outpost's engines echoed outside, Rami sat on the floor with a notebook filled with sketches. The book was worn and stained with oil, its pages covered in drawings of machines he had fixed and designs he had imagined. But tonight, the sketches were different. They were of legs, joints, and supports shaped to fit the body of a dragon. Seren lowered his head, his voice entering Rami's mind. What is that you draw so carefully? Rami looked up with a small smile. A frame. Something that might help you move again. The dragon blinked slowly. You wish to build a machine for me? I am no ship, Rami. My body is not metal. My strength is gone. No device can return it. Rami tapped the paper with his finger. I have seen machines do what living arms cannot. I once built an arm brace for a worker who lost his strength after an accident. With the right parts, he carried heavy tools again. If I can build something like that for you, maybe you can walk. For the first time in many days, Seren let out a sound like a deep, rumbling breath that echoed in the workshop. Hope is dangerous, human. It lifts the heart only to let it fall when it fails. Rami met his gaze firmly. But without hope, nothing changes. I cannot promise it will work, but I will try. That is what I do. I try until something broken begins to work again. The dragon's eyes softened. He could sense the determination inside the human, as solid as iron and as steady as the stars outside. Though doubt still lingered, Seren no longer told him to stop. Rami began his work the next morning. He scavenged metal beams, gears, and wires from broken ships in the yard. He shaped them carefully with his tools, cutting and welding until sparks flew across the room. The frame grew piece by piece, shaped to fit the dragon's back legs. It was heavy and rough, but it carried the promise of movement. Seren watched silently. He had seen machines built to fly across the void of space, machines built to fight wars, machines built to tear worlds apart. Yet this small human worked with the same devotion, not for gold or glory, but for him, a fallen dragon. When the first version of the frame was ready, Rami dragged it across the floor to the platform. His arms shook from the weight, but his eyes shone with determination. "It is not perfect," he said, wiping sweat from his brow, "but it may give you balance." With careful hands, he adjusted the frame around Seren's legs. The dragon winced at the pressure, but he bore it without complaint. The metal braces locked into place, connected by gears and small motors powered by energy cells. "Now try," Rami said, stepping back. Seren focused, sending strength to his dead legs. For a moment, nothing happened. His silver eyes closed, his chest rising with a heavy breath. Then, slowly, the braces shifted. The gears clicked, the motors hummed, and his legs bent slightly. Rami's heart leapt. "You moved. Try again." The dragon gritted his will against the weight of his broken body. The frame carried part of the burden, but his own strength was weak. He pushed once more, and this time his legs lifted a little higher. His body rose slightly from the platform before collapsing back down with a loud thud. Seren groaned, his voice echoing in Rami's mind. "It is no use. I cannot stand." But Rami shook his head firmly. "It is not failure. Machines never work perfectly on the first try. They break, they stall, but you adjust and try again. We will make it better." The dragon opened his eyes and looked at the human. The spark he thought lost forever stirred faintly in his chest. He had fallen from skies, had been left to die, yet here was a mechanic refusing to give up on him. "You are a stubborn man," Seren said quietly. Rami smiled. "And you are a stubborn dragon. Together, we will find a way." That night, as the stars glittered beyond the workshop roof, Rami worked late, adjusting the frame, adding supports, and improving the design. Seren rested, but for the first time in many years, he allowed himself to dream not of what he had lost, but of what might return. Hope had entered the workshop, carried not by wings of a dragon, but by the steady hands of a human mechanic who refused to stop trying. The days passed, and the workshop became a place not only of repairs but also of quiet conversation. When Rami was not bending metal or adjusting wires, he sat near Seren and listened. At first, their words were short and practical, about wounds and frames and movement. But slowly, their talks grew longer, touching stories of the past, of dreams, and of lives that seemed worlds apart. One evening, after Rami had finished adjusting the second version of the frame, he sat on the floor with his back against the workbench. His hands were sore from holding tools all day, but his heart was calm. Seren rested with his head lowered, his silver eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. The silence stretched between them until Rami spoke. "When I was young," Rami began, "I spent my days fixing broken toys and tools in my village. The other children liked to run, play, and fight. I was different. I liked to open things, see how they worked, and put them together again. My family thought I was wasting time. They wanted me to become a trader or a guard. But I could not leave machines alone. I always thought they spoke to me, asking to be fixed." Seren tilted his head slightly. "You chose your own path, even when others did not understand." Rami nodded. "Yes. But because of that, I was often alone. People saw me as someone who worked in shadows, fixing what they no longer cared about. They respected my skills but did not see me as important. I was just a mechanic, one among many. Seren's voice entered his mind, low and thoughtful. And yet, here you are, carrying a dragon back from despair. Does that sound unimportant to you? Rami smiled faintly. It feels important now. But before you came, I felt small. The dragon's eyes grew distant, as if remembering. His deep voice filled Rami's thoughts. I too once felt only greatness. My kind soared above worlds. We guarded civilizations from storms and enemies. The skies bent beneath our wings, and many looked up in awe. I was called a guardian of the east winds, a title of honor. Yet even with all that power, I stand before you now unable to move. My strength turned to nothing. Rami leaned forward, resting his arms on his knees. What happened to you? For a long moment, the dragon did not answer. The silver glow in his eyes dimmed, and his breath grew heavy. I fought against a storm greater than any I had faced. It was not made of wind or fire but of emptiness. A force that swallowed light and left nothing behind. I tried to resist it alone. My wings tore, my body broke, and I fell through the stars. I thought my story had ended there. Rami listened closely, his mind painting pictures of skies filled with dragons, of battles against dark forces he could not fully imagine. He felt small again, but not in the same way as before. This time it was not because he thought he was useless, but because the world beyond his small outpost was so vast and full of wonders. Still, he spoke with steady words. But your story did not end. You are here. And maybe that is for a reason. Seren looked at him with quiet curiosity. Do you believe fate brought us together? I don't know if I believe in fate, Rami said. But I believe that broken things are placed in front of me so I can fix them. Maybe you were meant to meet me. The dragon let out a deep breath, like a sigh carried on the wind. Perhaps you are right. Perhaps even a guardian must sometimes be saved by hands smaller than his own. Their bond grew with each story. Rami told more about his life, about his parents who worked the land, about the day he left to find work on the outpost, and how he thought he would spend his life only with machines. Seren shared more of his past, of songs sung by his kind as they flew across skies, of the beauty of worlds now lost, and of his sorrow at being the last of his flight. One night, as the stars glimmered outside, Seren asked, Do you not wish to leave this small outpost, Rami? You dream of more, I can see it. Rami thought for a moment before answering. I used to dream of leaving, yes. But now, I feel that what I do here matters. Even if I never see the grand worlds you speak of, helping you is enough for me. It gives me purpose. Seren lowered his head close to the mechanic, his silver eyes warm. Then know this, human. You have already done more than most who claimed greatness. You gave me not only care but hope. That is a gift beyond gold or power. Rami felt his chest tighten, not with sadness but with pride. For once in his life, someone saw him not as a background worker but as someone who made a difference. The dragon's words sank deep into his heart. From that day, their talks became a daily ritual. Rami worked on the frame and adjusted its parts, while Seren shared wisdom older than empires. The workshop no longer felt lonely. It echoed with stories, laughter, and the slow healing of two lives that had once felt broken. And in those shared words, the bond between mechanic and dragon grew stronger than steel. The workshop was quiet that morning. Outside, the pale light of the moon touched the outpost, but inside, Rami worked with his tools as usual. He had rebuilt and improved the support frame for Seren's legs many times, adjusting each joint, adding new gears, and testing the motors. Each day, Seren's strength had grown a little, but he still could not stand on his own. Rami paused for a moment and looked at the dragon. Today, he said quietly, I think we can try something new. Seren's silver eyes focused on him. You say this with confidence, human. I have tried many times, and still my legs refuse to respond. Rami smiled. That is because you have not tried with this version. I added extra support and better balance. It should help you rise, even if only for a moment. The dragon lowered his head, resting it gently on the platform. If I fall, it will hurt. You may fall, Rami admitted, but you will rise again. That is the way of progress. Carefully, Rami rolled the frame into position. The metal braces clamped around Seren's back legs, connecting to his hips and lower joints. The motors hummed softly as they powered the system. The dragon shifted his weight cautiously, feeling the new support. Now, Rami whispered, put your strength into your legs. I will guide you. Seren focused. For the first time in years, he tried to summon power to his broken limbs. His muscles trembled, stiff from disuse. The frame creaked under the strain. Slowly, almost painfully, one leg lifted a fraction of an inch. The other followed. The dragon's chest heaved as he pushed harder. Rami held the braces steady. That's it. Keep going. Another small step forward. Then another. The platform shook under the effort. Seren's tail moved for balance. His wings twitched with exertion. The dragon roared, not in anger but with a sound of deep triumph. You moved. Rami exclaimed, clapping his hands. You are standing. Seren's silver eyes widened. For a moment, he could not believe it. The legs that had failed him for so long now carried his massive body, shakily but steadily. He lifted his head higher, testing the balance. Another step, and then another. The sound of metal braces clicking against each other echoed through the workshop. I am standing, Seren whispered, awe in his mind. After all this time, I can feel my strength returning. Rami knelt beside him. One step at a time, Seren. We will make each step stronger than the last. The dragon moved again, this time with more confidence. Each motion sent vibrations through the platform, but the frame supported him perfectly. He tried a longer step, then another. The silver scales on his legs shimmered in the dim light as if reflecting his renewed hope. Seren looked down at the human. You did this for me, Rami. You did not leave me to fade. You believed in me when I could not. Rami shook his head. I only did what anyone would do. I help what is broken. Machines, creatures, even people. I cannot leave something that matters behind. The dragon's chest rose and fell rapidly. His eyes glimmered with gratitude. Then I must repay you somehow. I am large, and my strength is returning. You saved me, and now I will protect you as you have protected me. Rami laughed softly. No repayment is necessary. Just keep moving forward. For the first time, Seren attempted to walk across the workshop. Each step was careful, measured, and sometimes unsteady. The dragon stumbled, but Rami caught him with the frame and encouraged him to try again. Slowly, he moved farther than ever before. The great creature's shadow stretched across the walls, powerful and alive. Other workers in the outpost peeked through the windows. They gasped as they saw the dragon standing and walking for the first time in many years. Whispers spread quickly, and soon people came closer, eyes wide with amazement. No one had expected a human to bring a dragon back to life, yet here it was, moving with effort but undeniable strength. Seren paused in the middle of the workshop and lowered his head to Rami. Human, you have given me more than hope. You have given me a reason to rise again. Rami smiled. And you have shown me something I never knew, that even the greatest beings need help sometimes, and that kindness can make them stronger. The dragon shifted his weight and took another few steps, turning in a circle. The joy in his mind was clear, almost like laughter. Rami watched, his heart full of pride. He had spent years fixing ships, but this was different. This was life, a being that breathed, thought, and now stood tall because of his care. As night fell outside, the stars gleamed, and Seren's first steps became more confident. The bond between human and dragon had grown stronger. The workshop echoed with life, hope, and quiet triumph. For the first time in years, Seren felt that he could rise not only in body but in spirit, and Rami knew that together they had begun something extraordinary. Weeks passed since Seren first managed to stand with Rami's help. Each day, the dragon grew stronger, moving more freely across the workshop. The metal frame that had once carried his weight became a tool he relied on less with every step. Rami spent long hours adjusting it, making it lighter and smoother, and soon Seren was walking almost without help. The dragon's wings, though still damaged, twitched more often. Each movement sent a thrill through him, a reminder of the skies he had once ruled. He tried to lift them, feeling the muscles regain strength he thought lost forever. Rami watched closely, offering advice and gentle encouragement. "You are stronger than you think," Rami said one morning. "If your wings heal, you may fly again, Seren. But even now, walking shows your spirit is unbroken." Seren lowered his head, silver eyes glimmering with gratitude. "I have walked before, but never with such care guiding me. You have given me more than strength. You have given me patience." Rami smiled. "Patience is the key to fixing anything. Machines, creatures, even ourselves. You must trust the process." Together, they worked on rebuilding Seren's wings. Using spare parts from old ships and flexible materials from the outpost, Rami constructed light frames to support the broken bones. He attached soft energy cells to help the muscles recover and improve circulation. Seren remained still as Rami worked, trusting him completely. "You treat me as if I am both living and machine," Seren said, watching the human's careful hands. "It is strange to feel repaired and understood at the same time." Rami adjusted a brace near the dragon's wing joint. "You are not a machine. You are alive. But when something is broken, it can benefit from knowledge, planning, and care. That is all I am doing." As days turned into weeks, Seren became more active. He lifted his wings a little each day, testing balance and moving farther without the metal frame. He learned to take small leaps, landing softly on the workshop floor, his long tail steadying him. Each leap brought a sense of freedom, a memory of skies lost. One evening, Rami climbed a small platform beside Seren and adjusted the last wing support. "Tomorrow, we will try a longer flight," he said, looking up at the pale light shining through the workshop skylight. Seren's silver eyes glimmered with both excitement and caution. "I am not certain if I can fly again. It has been so long since I left the ground." Rami rested a hand on the dragon's neck. "Then we will try. Step by step, like we always have." The next day, the outpost gathered to witness what seemed impossible. They had watched Seren walk with strength, and now they wondered if he could truly lift into the air. Rami guided the dragon to an open hangar. The wind from outside brushed against Seren's scales. He flexed his wings, feeling the muscles respond more than ever before. Rami stepped back. "Take your time. Trust yourself." Seren crouched, testing the strength in his legs. Then, with a powerful push, he leapt into the air. His wings caught the wind, shaking at first but steadying with each beat. Slowly, he rose, higher and higher, circling the outpost with a grace that left everyone below silent. Rami watched, a mixture of pride and awe filling his heart. He had repaired engines, machines, and broken tools, but nothing had ever brought him the joy of seeing life restored. The dragon's scales shone in the sunlight, wings strong and wide, rising above the horizon. Seren dipped and turned, performing loops that brought cheers from the workers below. He landed softly near Rami, folding his wings. His chest heaved with exertion, but his eyes were bright. "You did it," Rami said, his voice filled with pride. "You are flying again." Seren lowered his head in respect. "It is not only my wings that flew today. My spirit has returned because of you, human. You lifted me when I could not stand. You guided me when I could not trust myself. I will not forget this." Rami smiled. "You may fly across the stars, Seren, but always remember that you walked again because someone believed in you." The dragon's eyes shimmered with emotion. "Then I will carry both memories, the skies I knew and the hands that restored me." From that day, Seren became a guardian of the outpost once more. He helped carry supplies, assisted with heavy repairs, and inspired everyone who saw him fly. The story of the human who had restored a fallen dragon spread across nearby colonies, earning Rami quiet respect and admiration. Yet he cared little for fame. For him, the reward was seeing Seren's silver eyes bright with life again. In the evenings, they would sit together in the workshop, talking quietly about the day. Seren no longer spoke of weakness. Instead, he shared his thoughts, his dreams, and sometimes his songs of the skies. Rami listened, sometimes joining in with laughter, sometimes just watching. Their bond was unbroken, stronger than ever, built on trust, care, and shared triumph. For both of them, the workshop had become a place of hope, where a human mechanic had restored a dragon not only to walk but to dream of the skies once more. The days grew brighter as Seren's strength returned fully. His wings healed with the help of Rami's careful designs, and his legs carried him firmly across the workshop and the outpost grounds. No longer did he rely on the metal frames. His long tail balanced him, and his silver eyes sparkled with the joy of movement. The once wounded dragon now stood tall, proud, and alive. Rami spent the morning in his workshop, checking the final adjustments on the wing supports. He had reinforced the bones with lightweight materials and tested the energy cells one last time. Seren watched him carefully, waiting patiently. The dragon's wings twitched, ready to feel the wind once again. "You are ready, Seren," Rami said softly, placing a hand on the dragon's neck. "Today you will fly beyond the outpost, back into the skies you belong to." Seren lowered his head. "I am nervous. I have not flown for so long. I may stumble or fall." "You will not fall," Rami said firmly. "I have seen your strength. Your wings are ready, and your heart is stronger than ever." The dragon's silver eyes glimmered with trust. He crouched slightly, testing the power in his legs, feeling the wind brushing against his scales. The outpost workers gathered to watch, their eyes wide with amazement. They had already witnessed the dragon walk and leap, but now the moment of flight promised something greater. With a deep breath, Seren pushed off the ground. His wings caught the wind immediately, shaking at first but finding rhythm with each powerful beat. The dragon rose higher, hovering above the outpost before gliding gracefully over the buildings. The light of the sun reflected on his pale scales, making him glow like a star among the clouds. Rami watched with awe, feeling a mixture of pride and joy. He had never imagined that his care and effort would bring a dragon back to life, let alone see him soar once more. The dragon circled the outpost slowly, then dived briefly before rising again, performing a flight that seemed both playful and victorious. Landing softly near Rami, Seren folded his wings carefully, lowering his head to meet the human's gaze. "I am flying again because of you, Rami. You carried me when I could not stand, and you believed in me when I could not believe in myself." Rami smiled and stroked the dragon's neck gently. "It was never about me, Seren. It was about your courage. You chose to rise, step by step, and I only guided you." The dragon lifted his head, silver eyes shining with gratitude. "Then I owe you a debt beyond words. You have given me more than movement. You have given me life and freedom. I will never forget this." The outpost workers cheered quietly, understanding the rare bond between human and dragon. They had seen a creature once broken regain strength, and it inspired them as much as it inspired Seren. Seren stretched his wings once more, flexing the muscles and testing their power. "I wish to go beyond the stars," he said. "To see the worlds I once guarded and perhaps find others who need help. But I will return, Rami, for you have given me a home and a friend." Rami nodded. "The skies are yours. Fly freely, Seren. And remember that a part of you will always belong here." With one final powerful beat of his wings, Seren rose into the sky. The wind carried him higher, and the outpost below grew smaller. He soared above the mountains and clouds, feeling the freedom that he had thought lost forever. His silver scales reflected the sunlight, creating a trail of light across the horizon. As he circled above, Seren called to Rami in his mind. "I will carry your kindness with me across the stars. Wherever I go, I will remember the hands that lifted me when I could not move. You have changed my life, human." Rami watched, tears of joy in his eyes. He had spent years repairing ships, machines, and broken tools, but nothing compared to the satisfaction of seeing a life restored. Seren was no longer a creature of weakness or despair. He was a dragon reborn, a symbol of hope and courage. After a long flight, Seren returned to the outpost, landing softly beside Rami. The dragon lowered his head in a gesture of respect and gratitude. "I will go far, but I will always return. You taught me that even the mightiest need care, and even the smallest can make a difference." Rami smiled. "And you taught me that life, no matter how large or strange, is worth believing in." We saved each other in different ways. The dragon roared softly, not in anger, but in joy, and the sound echoed across the outpost. Rami looked up at the sky, knowing that Seren would soar beyond the stars again and again. Yet no matter where he went, the bond between dragon and human remained unbroken. In the quiet workshop, filled with the scent of metal and warmth of life, Rami understood something profound. Machines could be fixed, but hearts could also be mended. Seren had regained his wings, his strength, and his spirit. And Rami had discovered that even a human mechanic could change the course of a legend. The story of a human and a dragon spread across the outpost and beyond, a tale of hope, patience, and friendship. And in the endless sky, Seren flew, carrying not only his own dreams but the memory of the human who believed in him when all seemed lost. The dragon took off once more, higher than before, gliding into the horizon, while Rami watched with a smile, knowing that together they had proven that courage, care, and hope could restore even the most broken of souls.